Okay, so today I want to talk about a game I've been playing a lot recently, called Heroes of Hammerwatch. Um, so the game is described as a roguelite game, meaning that you will die and you lose all your gear that you have, but there is a money mechanic and an ore mechanic that you can see at the top, money being represented on the left or on the right, and then the stars represent basically the level up items that you get from leveling up, which is represented by the yellow bar on the right of the screen. So in this game, you also have a lot of different abilities. Like, since I'm playing as a warlock, for example, I have a poison dagger, lightning that I can shoot, and then a gargoyle that, as you can see right there, shoots out lightning as like a stationary turret. There's a lot of different classes. If I remember correctly, there's like 7. Um, with there being a ranger, warlock, paladin, wizard, priest. Maybe I don't think it's called a priest, but there's a lot of different classes, and each has their own ability. So basically, the point of the game is you go into these dungeons and you try to gather ore and money. So each of these things is used for to build different things or to get different skills. So you'll use your ore to buy more of your town. So you can like upgrade your apothecary or blacksmith or cathedral or whatever you want to unlock. You can use that to upgrade those things or to build those things. And then your money will be used more for buying upgrades for your weapons. So, for example, you can spend your money at the blacksmith, and he will allow you to upgrade your weapons. So right there, you can see that's a portal. Basically, what that does is it takes you past the first 3 floors, which can be helpful if you are trying to avoid things. If you're just trying to get as far as you can, it's helpful. I'm personally not right now. I'm looking to get ore and money. But the game is very simplistic in its design, but the execution is so well done that it's going to keep you hooked for a long time. Me and my friend have been playing this a lot recently, and it's really good. I'd recommend everyone at least check it out. Right now, as the time of this video, I'm pretty sure it's $10 on Steam. It's a great game, worth the money. The only few issues I have with the game is sometimes the aiming can be a little bit weird, which it's probably just me. I'm not very good at it yet. And sometimes the traps can feel a little bit cheap unless you're playing as a paladin who has the ability to like dodge roll. But overall, the game is very well done. Another flaw is the enemies. There's very little variety in enemies until you like. So you have your first 3 floors that are just the cave. Then you have a 4th fight, which is a boss fight, which I couldn't get. I just want to do some like raw, unedited gameplay to show you what it's actually like when you play it. Then the 4th floor is a boss fight, and then after the boss fight, you go on and you do different like style of floor. So the next style is like a castle, more like a dungeon, to be honest. It's more like a dungeon, and then you start getting more different types of enemies, which is nice. But for the first 3 floors, you really have very little variety in enemies, which isn't a huge deal. Like it's not like a deal breaker, but I would have liked to see a little bit more variety. But anyway, the game is great. You can co-op with up to 4 people, which just makes this game a hell of a lot more fun. If you have friends to play with, I would definitely recommend playing with them. It is definitely a worthwhile experience for you and your friends. It's a fun game. It has fast-paced combat. The dungeons, while they're procedurally generated, I don't think like most of the time when I play procedurally generated games, I can very easily tell it's procedurally generated, and like I don't like the levels at all. This one's different. I think the levels are interesting. Especially it plays well since it is a cave and it is like dungeons, and then there is a castle after you do the dungeons. It really plays into it, like being like all windy and weird and like paths that go nowhere. So it's one of those games that really feeds into the procedurally generated well. I'm not going to complain about that aspect of it. I think this is really only way they could try to make a game like this. Because if you're just doing the same exact like floors over and over and over again, it would be kind of boring. And this is a great way to like easily get around that. But it's a really fun game. There's very few flaws in it. For $10, you cannot beat it. I know there was a first game called Hammerwatch. I haven't played that. I looked it up and I heard it's not roguelike. So I don't know. I might check out the original Hammerwatch, but this is just a game that I really want to talk about. It's an interesting game. Interesting. It's not really an original concept. I just like the way it's executed. A lot of my issues with roguelikes is I just feel like I'm not making any progress ever. But this is definitely a way to remedy that. Because as you progress, you will get more abilities. So I have 3 of the 4 abilities for Warlock right now. I haven't gotten that far with him. But basically, it's your standard roguelike. You are going to dive into a dungeon. You're going to fight enemies in the chances of getting better loot. And then after you do that, you die, you go back to your town, and then you start over again. And try to get as much ore as you possibly can. So, I have to say, I do enjoy it. It's definitely worth looking at. If this isn't your type of game, though, don't be mistaken. You're not going to like this game. You're probably going to think it's you know. But if this kind of thing does interest you, a lot of people say that it reminds them of Diablo 2, or just like the original Diablo. I can't attest to that. I've never played a Diablo game, which is like one of the things that like I get crap for all the time. I've never played a Diablo game, but if Diablo is like this, then I will definitely check it out. I just wanted to say that since I've heard a lot of other people talking about how it reminds them of Diablo from some of the videos I've been watching. But it's a good game. It has a solid foundation. I do want it to grow a little bit. It doesn't seem like it will, though. It seems like this is it. This is what you're getting, which great package. Like, I'm not complaining. I feel like every cent is worth it. It's a fun game. I would say you definitely want to have friends to play it with. As I said, there's 4-player co-op. There's no local co-op, which seems like a huge missed opportunity right there. But I'll ignore that. You know, it's not a huge deal. I mean, how many couch co-op games do you have on your PC? Although I would like to see a resurgence of them. But anyway, this is a great game. Check it out. But make sure you have some friends. This game is fun, but I don't know how long it will stay fun if you don't have friends to play it with. So right here, actually, before we're done, that's the mechanic. So when you gather your ore and gold, it doesn't automatically save to you. You have to go to these deposits. You can only use them once per floor. They only show up once per floor, and some floors don't have them. So basically, you deposit your things, and then you have it, but they tax you on your gold, not on your ore, because ore is so hard to find. Not hard to find, but you're only going to get like 4 or 5 ore if you do like 4 or 5 floors, you know? So, but it's a good game. I like a lot of the mechanics of it. There's nothing in the game that I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. Everything I've seen so far has been like, okay, that's cool. But besides the traps, I feel like the traps are really like not good on some classes. Like there's some classes that you have to have a friend there to play with you so that you can utilize your abilities. Like, for example, my friend plays a paladin, which is basically a knight. Knights have the ability to dodge roll, and since I don't have the ability to dodge roll, it makes it very difficult to try and go through traps, especially since I have no way to block long-range weapons or anything like that. I don't know. It's a good game. There's a few flaws. I like the town mechanic. That's what's keeping me like going back in. Okay, and there you go. It tells you what you found and what you actually got to send back. right there. But yeah, it's a great game. Go check it out. I'd recommend it to most people. If you don't like this footage, you're not going to like this game. This is definitely what this game is. So right there you saw me using my ore to buy an upgrade to my apothecary. So then you can go over to the apothecary and it's going to allow you to buy new things. So for a while I couldn't buy anything from it. But now I can get better potion charges, better healing, all that stuff. So yeah, that's what the game is. It's a fun game. It's worth the $10. I think it's like usually $12. So even if you don't catch it on the Steam sale, I would still recommend picking it up. It's a fun game. Yeah. But thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe. Yeah.